Hello, hello, hello. I hope everyone is doing great. We're going to start our Homeschooling 101 live. I'm so excited I get to tap in with Paige. If you're here for the first time, my name is LaShauna West. I'm a part of the All Things Childcare team, and we are doing our Instagram live. Like, we do these periodically, and they have been so awesome. So many different experts and parents and professionals. And if you're like, oh my God, I would love to be a part of this, make sure that you guys send us a DM. We can connect and partner so we can ultimately bring all things childcare to you and your community. I have Paige coming on in a minute. I'm so excited. Hey Paige,
Hi. Good. How are you doing?
I am doing amazing. Thanks for joining today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. This is my first live I've ever done.
Oh, you're going to get addicted. You're going to be going live all the time, okay?
Good, because I'm also kind of nervous too.
Well, guess what? Not be nervous. Like, we're going to have a candid conversation. And I love that this is your first time going live because so many people need to know about what you're doing, what you're building over there. And so just to kick it off, Paige, just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do in your own words.
Of course. So I'm Paige. I'm a homeschool mom to 3 kids. My oldest, Brooks, he's going to be 5 actually tomorrow. And yes, so I'll be doing birthday party prep right after this.
Oh my.
Then my middle crew, he's 2 years old, and our youngest just turned 1 on Monday. Both my husband and I are entrepreneurs, so we both run businesses and we homeschool and do pretty much everything.
Wow, I love that. So again, thank you because I know how crazy it can be birthdays, right? By you taking out a little time to spend with us, that means a lot to us. And tonight we're going to be talking about homeschooling. I know for me, because I'm a little older, I know I don't look it, but I'm a little older. Homeschooling was not the thing when I was in school or even when my daughter was in school. But I want to ask you, what made you get into the realm of homeschooling and how has it been for you?
Yeah, so really, and I agree with you. Growing up, I feel like homeschool wasn't really the norm. I do feel like right now, though, a lot of things have changed and it's starting to become the norm. But really, what kind of started it for me was when my oldest was 1, we did send him to like a mother's morning out. And every time we sent him, something just didn't feel right. And even my husband, he kind of was the one to bring it up, and he's like, what are they doing that we can't do at home? And so really, we probably sent him 5 times, and then we stopped. And then come COVID, that happened. He was 2 years old at the time. I was pregnant with my second, and that's when I really just sort of dove into the whole homeschooling idea. I started researching, kind of finding out what are the rules, what are the regulations, because it's different in the United States per state. So I live in Florida. I found out what do I need to do when he's older in Florida. And then I just started reading books and kind of getting inspired. And that's when I really decided this is it. This is what we're doing. And let's go with it. And right now, we're really just starting curriculum because, as I said, he's 5. So technically, he's still in like pre-K. So this is really our first year of curriculum per se. So it's been just like a fun learning experience. And I can't wait to kind of see where it goes with all of our other kids.
Wow. So you basically saying, what is it that they're doing that we either A, can't learn or that we're not doing already? And took it by the horns. So tell me this. When it comes to, because when I hear homeschooling, I hear more self-care, more mental health because you get to dictate the schedule, the nap time. You get to pay really, really close attention to his demeanor and behaviors and things of that nature. What do you think are some pros about homeschooling? And of course, we'll talk about some cons as well.
Yeah, so really pros are you're with your children. I mean, you're with your family. You're spending all of this time with them each and every day. Also, you're learning alongside with them. I've learned so much already. And also, I know this can kind of be taken as a con because people say socialization, but in my opinion, I actually think that's a pro because I feel like we socialize more as a homeschool family
Mm.
than kids who go to school, because they're with their siblings all day long, but we're also a part of co-ops. And they're with kids, you know, that whole day. Or also, like, we'll go to a park and they'll go running up to a kid
Yep.
and just hang out and play with, you know, it doesn't matter their age. They're just totally open to making new friends and playing. We do play dates and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I'd say that's definitely some of the pros, just kind of learning alongside them, being the one to teach them, being able to, you know, say you start a curriculum and you don't love it. Okay, you can stop halfway through the year and find another curriculum and just keep changing it.
I love that. And for some people who are new to homeschooling, what exactly is a co-op?
A co-op is essentially kind of a group of other homeschool children. We meet, typically co-ops will meet once a week, and they offer classes to children that maybe it's something you wouldn't normally do at home. So it's kind of things that you can outsource. So like they'll have science classes, or, you know, math classes if your kid's really into math, or music classes, karate classes. I mean, you name it, they offer it.
So I see a comment. I don't know who learns more, me or my son.
Yes, that is so true. My son will ask me a question. I'm like, I have no idea. And then we go on YouTube and watch YouTube videos or get books from the library. So yes, I'm constantly learning.
But you know what? It teaches them incidentally that when you don't know, you go find out.
Exactly. Yes.
I'm sure you're not like, I don't know, next. You're like, I don't know. Let's find out. So it shows them, use your critical thinking, go do your research. You can find the answer. Try.
Yes, exactly. And that's totally what we'll do. Like, we'll be out somewhere and my son will ask me a question, and something, he's really into fishing right now. So he'll ask me a fishing question and I know nothing about fishing. So then we go on YouTube and we're learning all these different types of fish and, you know, finding the answer to it. So yeah, you're totally right. Problem solving.
Exactly. So if you're tuning in, guys, whether you're here live or on the replay, we're talking about homeschooling, and I'm chatting with Paige. And what I love about what Paige does, she's homeschooling her kids. They're all different ages. So of course you get to learn with the first one, but she's also an entrepreneur, her and her husband. So with that being said, you gotta juggle lots of things, right?
Yes.
You have to juggle lots of things. Still have the expectation that you are not the breadwinner, but the learn winner when it comes to teaching your kiddos. What do you think is a pro or a con to that, or a challenge that you've been having to work through?
Yes. So that's, I was actually just talking to my husband earlier about that. To me, that is probably the biggest con of homeschooling in my situation, is trying, how do we juggle everything? How do we work and homeschool our kids and clean and cook and take care of the house and do all the things? Right now, we're kind of still in the learning process. We, you know, we'll try a schedule for 1 week, see if that works, you know, try a schedule for another week, and just kind of divvy it up. What has worked for us though recently, we were able to outsource a babysitter just once a week for, I think it's about 4 hours. She comes and she takes the 2 older boys while my younger one naps, and that gives me just totally dedicated time to like actually think and use my brain and formulate emails and do everything I need to do in those 4 hours. So that's been something helpful.
I love that for you, because most people are either afraid to ask for help or they don't want to ask for help, right? And yes, accepting help and actually being able to stay focused and stay on task during that time block, I know is a big deal. But it also makes you realize how much you can get done when it's uninterrupted time too.
Yes, completely. And that's actually something my husband, he has brought up, is doing time blocks.
Yep.
We haven't implemented that, but I feel like we probably will pretty soon, as far as like, he has a time block totally focused to work. I have a time block totally focused to work. Because you're right, you can really knock out a lot without all the distractions.
Yeah, Cricket Bork said, and a mom can get so much done in a few hours.
Yes. Hi, Cricket. I'm so happy you're here.
Yeah. So tell me, what did you create? You have a community in regards to homeschooling. Tell us more about that.
Yes. So my friend and I just started this. It's called Moms Raising Wild Souls. It's a separate Instagram account. It's totally brand new. So really what we want to create, and I feel like what's really lacking, is just a community page for moms who homeschool. Somewhere we can all come together, we can all comment on each other's posts, learn from one another. Because as I've mentioned at my co-op, that's where I feel like I learn the most is through other people. But why not do it online? You know, we don't have to meet up once a week. And this way we're able to connect with people all over the country, all over the world, pretty much everywhere. And we can just learn from everyone, their experiences, their trials, their tribulations, and just kind of come together to help each other.
Yeah, I think that vicarious learning is the most impactful way to learn because, and you see that you're not alone and your questions aren't or quote unquote blind spots or what you think you're not good at. Guess what? There's a whole lot of other people who are struggling with the tantrums or the kid that struggles with X, Y, Z. So I am definitely down for community building. All Things Childcare is actually, we're launching a parenting community too. So we'll definitely have to connect just to see, maybe we'll have you guys come in and share more resources with our community once it's up and running.
Yes, that would be awesome. And that's great for you guys as well.
Yeah, we're super excited. So tell me this, Paige, what would you tell a parent who's on the fence about homeschooling because traditionally, regular traditional school is all that they know, but they also know that there's something missing from the traditional and they're thinking about it, but they just can't build that confidence or make that decision to take that leap. What would you tell them?
So really, I actually get that message a lot too. And kind of how I word it is, you know your child the best. So you know their ins, their outs. You're the one who's raised them. You're the one who's with them. So you have the knowledge and the confidence and the ability to teach them, probably better than a teacher would at school, because that teacher is also managing 15, 20 other children. So also you can also get so much done in just 20 to 30 minutes of one-on-one learning than you probably could in an entire school day.
Wow. That's a really good point. I want to go deeper into that because I say kids learn differently. And I know sometimes, like, if a kid is on an IEP, that's the individualized education.
Yes.
And most times they do that if they're hyperactive or they don't really get along with the kids the way everyone else does. But when kids learn differently, a lot of times that one-on-one attention, they need it because it's so much stimulus going on around. I mean, think about it. We all have low attention spans now. But that focused time, that one-on-one time, I think is a big deal. And you're able to really see what their strengths are and what the areas of improvement, if you may, are because you're literally with them one-on-one and you could be fixated on them and not everybody at the same time.
Yes, exactly. And that's kind of, I did that today. So we've been having to do school inside. We live in Florida because it's been so hot. And it has been a little bit of a struggle because my 2-year-old, he wants to get into everything. But today it was finally cool enough where I was like, okay, let's go outside. And I set up a water table and activity for him to just go play with. And then me and my son just really got to like focus in. It's kind of like our bonding time too. Mm-hmm. So it's just the two of us one-on-one talking to each other, and just learning together. And I guess the best part is just seeing like when something clicks in their head, seeing just how they light up and they're like, oh my gosh, I just read that. You're like, you did. Like, I think I'm more happy for him than he is. But yeah, definitely that one-on-one learning, you're able to really focus in on, but it's going to change depending on the child.
Yes, most definitely. So I have a question, and if anybody has any questions for myself or Paige, pop it in the QA box. That way we can post it here. What would you do, being that you're homeschooling, but let's just say a parent, they feel like their kid is not where they need to be, mm-hmm. right? And at the end of the day, if you're not a certified teacher, sometimes you just kind of go with your gut. What does a parent do if they're homeschooling, but they don't feel like their child is where they quote unquote need to be?
Are you saying like in regards to should they just pull their child out and homeschool them themselves
Oh,
or
let me clarify. Let's say you're already
okay.
homeschooling, but you don't feel like, and I'll just give it for example. Let's say your 4-year-old, they're not saying certain words, or they don't know how to do XYZ when really there's no manual or rule book. So what could they do if they feel like their child is where they need to be when they're already homeschooling?
So I feel like in that situation, that would be a good question to kind of reach out to a community. I'm in a lot of Facebook homeschooling pages, so I would maybe post something on there to see, just to get other people's opinions. Maybe someone else has experienced the same thing and maybe they have ideas of how, add in supplemental learning. And maybe they have a recommendation for a specialist, depending on what the situation is. But I guess it kind of depends on a base by base situation. So I would probably start just by like asking around or, going on Pinterest and looking up different activities you can do, or maybe even coming up with a different way for them to learn. Like I was actually just talking to my friend, for example, and she was trying to do like a sit down curriculum with her son.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very active. He's a boy, like he just wants to move. And so he didn't want to sit there and learn. And then finally she was like, you know what? Like she got creative and put up letters on, I think just, an index card, put them on her fireplace, gave her son a Nerf gun and said, shoot M, shoot A, shoot X. And he got every single one right. So all he needed was just for her to switch her approach and see if that would work. And it did in that situation.
Yeah, I think of innovative and creativity. So Kima said, and I hope I pronounced your name right. Do you guys teach your kids yourselves, or are they in a live virtual homeschool program? She says she's in the process of developing a new homeschool curriculum. So I know you teach your kids at home, but have you ever thought about having them do